Yahweh, Malak HaIwalam, Yahweh Allah Shaddai, Yahweh Allah Aliyawan, Shalom Amina. We're going to the eighth day, doing the Holy Scroll readings. All right. Amina says Shalom. Amina says Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Everybody says Shalom back. All right, so today we're going into the eighth day of the month and the first day of the week. Okay, so first let's get into the psalm for today, which is Psalm 24. So we'll read that psalm. This is the daily psalm that they read inside the temple. Every day of the week, they had different psalms that we would read. So the psalm for the first day was Psalms 24. A psalm of David. The earth is Yahweh's, and the fullness thereof, the world and all they that dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas, and established it upon the floods. Who shall ascend into the hill of Yahweh, or who shall stand in his holy place? He that has clean hands and a pure heart, who has not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. He shall receive the blessing from Yahweh and righteousness from the Allahaya God of his salvation. This is the generation of them that seek him, that seek thy face, O Ya'aquab Jacob, Selah. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? Yahweh, strong and mighty. Yahweh, mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, even lift them up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? Yahweh of hosts. He is the King of glory. Selah. All right, so one thing resounds as we read this daily Psalms, chapter 26, chapter 24, which was read in the tabernacle, the temple, every day. We see it talking about, toward the end, mighty in battle. All right, mighty in battle. All right, resounding that Yahweh is mighty in battle. Yahweh of hosts. That the early aspects of worshiping Yahweh was that he protected his people. He protected us, and he would kill for us. He would shed blood for us. So in this psalm, the Most High says, even though I'm doing this killing and bloodshedding for you, I still need for you all to understand that I made this world. I founded upon the waters. Okay? And I need you to stand in my holy place by lifting up your hands with a clean heart, a pure heart, that haven't given your soul into vanity and you haven't sworn deceitfully. That's how you receive the blessing of Yahweh. Don't be vain. Make sure your hands are clean and your heart has the pure intention. And then the Most High will bless you. The Most High will reward you. It's about your attitude and your mindset. If your attitude is nasty and stank, you ain't gonna get nothing from the Most High like you should. Something here and there, like here, take some air. Here's a little bit of water. Here, you need some feet to walk here. Basic stuff that everybody gets blessed with. But then to go above and beyond, and to really get blessed, you got to go above and beyond for the Most High, because he made this earth and everything that's in it is his property. We are his property. We are the property of the Most High Yahweh. All right? And we have to seek his face. Okay? So Yahweh is the King of glory, strong and mighty in battle. So Yahweh, as the scriptures tell us in Exodus 15:3, Yahweh is a man of war. Okay? Ayash Malchama, a man that deals in warfare. All right, so we want to get that out the way. So now for the Torah portion of today, we're going to go where? We're going to go into the 8th day of the month, the 4th Hebrew month. Today's the 8th day of the Hebrew month. So we're going to go into Genesis 1 and 8. Let's go there. Genesis chapter 1, verse 8. Genesis chapter 1, verse 8. Now, 2 days ago, we talked about how we were going to go into the different aspects of heaven. So we're going to touch on that just a little bit now. Genesis 1 and 8.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 8.
Can't hear you.
And Elohim called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day.
So Elohim called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So that's what we call the atmosphere that's around the earth. That's part of Hashemayim, which means the waters. Hashemayim means that which is the waters. So it's Hashemayim. That's the atmosphere around the earth. It's called the heavens, Hashemayim. And then we have the waters outside that are the heavens also. Outside of our realm. Now you can look at it as either being like our galaxy, that they call the Milky Way, or you can look at it being outside our galaxy, the Milky Way. If we deal with it from a local, immediate level, we're talking about the bubble around the earth. All right? Around the globe of the earth. The atmospheres. All right? The different troposphere, ionosphere, all those around the earth. All right? All those things around the earth. So,
The whole not flat.
right, so around the whole circle of the earth. All right, so he called that Shemayim. Read that again.
And Elohim called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day.
And then it tells that the evening and the morning were the first day. So the day started in the evening. What part of the evening did the day start at? Who knows what it's called? That's the second part of the evening. Al-Ta. Right. Al-Ta was the third part of the part of the evening when the sun was this part of the evening when the sun goes down and it's dark outside. Al-Ta. Okay? So that's the part of the evening. Okay? That's the part of the evening. The last part of the evening, Al-Ta, which is also called night. But it says evening, so the Most High tells us go in and dig through, because you see different things called evening. You see evening, and then you see something called sacrifice the Passover when? Between the evenings. At least 2 other components. Maybe as many as 5. So, but at least 2 other components. That's 3 evenings that we have in the Bible. 3 evenings that we have in the Bible. We have the eve of the sun, the shadows getting longer, okay, which takes place like maybe 3 o'clock forward, which that's called Tzalal, which means shadows. Then we have the other one that's called forgive me. Yeah, the Nashap, right? The shop is when it's covered, right? It was covered before and after, right? Give me that. Let me see that book right there. You know, I got it written down in here. Make sure there's no errors. Okay, yeah. So the Tzalal is the shade when it starts to produce that big shadow, all right? And then after that, well, not after that, but in certain sequences, we have the Nashap, which is dawn and dusk. And we see examples of that in Job chapter 7, verse 4, in Job chapter 7, Job chapter 3, verse 9, and Job chapter 24, verse 15. We see it 3 times in Job. And then we see Al-Ta, which means the covering, in Genesis chapter 15, verse 17. We see the covering. And then we see the Tzalal, which is the shade, when the shadows start to get longer and as more shade starts to come out. We see that in Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 19. So you have the Tzalal, which is when it's 3 o'clock forward. And then you have the Nashap, which is when the sun starts to come up and when the sun is going down, that little twilight and that dawn and dusk. All right, and then you have the altar, which is dark cover. So those are three forms. So the evening that Yahweh had at the beginning for the day to start was the evening of the altar, Iltah, Ilta or altar. Ilta would be more universally. I was hoping you'd be asleep, but I figured you'd still be awake. All right. So the altar. So the evening and the morning. What's the morning? Morning is when the sun starts to come up, when the sun is ruling the day. That's the sun. Now the sun is going to overlap with the evening. They start to kind of compete when? They start to compete after the altar, real far in the sky. You see it starts to the shadows get longer. Shadows get longer. And the sun starts to go down. All right. So, with the second day, it's important to notice that the evening and the morning were one day. That the day started in the evening, que empezó el día en la tarde. Pero ¿cuál parte de la tarde? What part of the evening? El último parte, the last part, que se llama la noche, that's called the night. Empezó el tiempo en la oscuridad. Time began at darkness. Okay? Time begins in the darkness. Y se aplica al día, semana y luna para el mes. This applies to the day, the week, and the month, and the moon for the month. So the dark moon begins the month. La luna oscura empieza el mes hebreo, the Hebrew month. Okay? So that's the law in Genesis. So when we look at Genesis, we have to be looking at Genesis to learn the laws that are in Genesis. Okay? All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 and 16. Now, we've been reading about the blessings up to yesterday, right? All the blessings of Deuteronomy 28, verse 1 through 14. And the reason we have to read Deuteronomy and study Deuteronomy is that Yahweh said that we have to, when we understand the blessings and the curses, that we have to turn back to him. So we read these blessings and the curses every day of the month so we remember who we are, what happened to us, and how to avoid it. The children of Israel is who we are. What happened to us is we were exploited and enslaved. And how do we avoid it again? By coming back to Yahweh and obeying his commandments and laws. Because the next time it happens to us, it's going to be in the lake of fire. Eternal condemnation. Okay? So now we have to learn what are the commandments and who we are as the children of Israel. Okay? We have to learn who we are as the children of Israel. So that's who these statements, all these statements are written to the children of Israel. They're not written to everybody. Everybody didn't come under these curses. Only the 12 tribes of Israel went under these curses right here. Okay? Only the 12 tribes. Nobody else was there with us. All right? Nobody else was there with us experiencing. Well, you know what? Let me take that back. Some of the Gentile nations that we had in captivity and that we had as servants and slaves, some of them did go into captivity with us. And when they went into captivity with us, they also went under the law, the punishment and curses. But nations that had joined themselves to us, but not, just nations in general going into captivity, like we did for such a long, sustained time period, that didn't happen. All right? So now we have to understand who we are. Who are the 12 tribes of Israel? What is the condition the Most High put us in? And we understand that when we read Deuteronomy chapter 28, because the law commands us to read Deuteronomy 28 to understand who we are. When the blessings and the curses come upon us. All right. So let's read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 and 16, where it talks to us about the first two verses of the curses. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse
And everybody should know this verse really by heart. Go ahead.
verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
It shall come to pass if thou, go ahead.
If thou wilt not hearken.
It shall come to pass if you will not hearken. This is a prophecy of what's going to happen if we don't listen. This is going to happen to the children of Israel. If you would not listen, go ahead.
Unto the voice of Yahweh the Elohim.
If you don't listen to the word of Yahweh, the word that he spoke to Ezekiel, to Isaiah, if you don't listen to his word, in Deuteronomy, it's specifically talking about the commandments of Yahweh, because there was no Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah. There was no Yahushua at the time. So he's saying, it shall come to pass if you will not hearken. If you won't listen to the words of Yahweh, meaning you obey his voice, you get a blessing. Hearken unto the, go ahead.
To observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command this day.
That if you don't listen to his laws, observe them, to do them. What does observe mean? Shamar, protect and to guard. So if you don't protect and guard his word, do his word, do the law, this is going to happen to you. Go ahead.
Which I commanded this day,
Mhm.
that all these curses shall be.
Commanded us to do in that day. All right. That a curse was going to come upon us. If it should come to pass, if you won't hearken unto the words, the voice of Yahweh, to do all of his commandments, which he commands us this day. Even now, we're still commanded to walk in his laws. Go ahead.
And overtake thee,
Read that part again.
that all these curses shall come upon thee, and overtake thee.
All these curses are going to come upon us and overtake us. You see that? They're going to come upon us and overtake us. I mean, you're not going to be able to escape these curses as a people. Go ahead.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city,
You're going to be cursed in the city. Go ahead.
and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
You're going to be cursed in the city and cursed in the country. City and the field. Metropolitan areas, suburban areas, rural areas. You're going to be cursed. Your ground, your children, your food supply, your water, your safety, your birth rates, your funerals. Everything's going to be cursed. And these things happen to our people. Read.
That's verse 16.
Okay, so that's it. You're going to be cursed in the city, cursed in the field. So these curses are the beginning of several other verses, all the way to 68. And we're going to read all of them this month. And we read all of them every month. So we constantly are being reminded and recharged and regenerated with motivation, with incentives to obey Yahweh. Why? Because we don't want these things to happen to us or our people again. We don't want to go through these things again. We don't want to displease Yahweh. We don't want to displease Yahweh Elohayim, Yahweh our God, our power. So what do? We learn his commandments, we learn his words, and we walk in his commandments, we walk in his words. That little midnight water run, bro, gonna have to go. Cause you stay up to midnight every day just to go to the store and get some cold water. All right, 15, 16.
Deuteronomy 32, verse 15.
All right.
But Jeshurun waxed fat.
Jeshurun waxed fat. Talking about Israel. We waxed fat. Meaning what? We got too big for our britches. We got puffed up. We got vain. All right? We fell into a trap of disobedience against Yahweh. Disobedience to his laws, commandments, and statutes. Go ahead.
Thou art waxing fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness.
We got thick and fat. Just eating and eating and eating and grazing and grazing and grazing. Just getting big and fat. Letting ourselves go spiritually. Not yielding to the commandments of the Most High. Read.
Then he forsook Elohim which made him.
And then we discarded our relationship with Yahweh. We forsook him, meaning we forgot about him. We abandoned him. We stopped keeping his commandments. We stopped walking uprightly. We forsook his commandments. We said we're not going to do what he said to do. Go ahead.
And lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation.
And we didn't esteem Yahweh. We didn't hold him in a respectful, high regard anymore. Go ahead.
They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods, with abominations provoked they him to anger.
You see that? So now we started worshiping different gods and different abominations. Homosexuality. Calling ourselves Buddhists. All right? These are the modern abominations that we're doing. The ancient abomination was worshiping Ishtar, Isis, all right, Oshun and Shango, worshiping all the Egyptian gods. This is what our people were doing. So now he's really going into a prophecy. He's going into the prophecy, speaking to us now for us to look back. How do we know that? Because they hadn't done all these things yet. Moses actually prophesying the future of what's going to happen, and he's talking to us. He's not talking to that generation. Why? Because that generation hadn't even been into Bashan yet, okay? That generation hadn't waxed fat or nothing. So Moses really going into a prophecy talking to us right now. So now the strange gods and the provocation is talking about all the religions that the ancient religions that were back then have been converted into the religions that people follow now. They follow all these different religions now, but they think that these religions just popped up. You think people all of a sudden decided they're going to bow down and kiss a rock, a black rock? You don't think that was ever done in history? We didn't study about Ishtar, study about Artemis, study about Diana. And you see that they were worshiping and bowing down to a black rock. So you got to be a student of history before you say, I'm this religion or that religion. Because a lot of these religions are just recycles and repeats. So he said that they provoked the Most High to anger and provoke him to what? Jealousy. Jealous. And what's going to happen when you run across a man? He's jealous and he's angry. What's he going to do? He's going to hurt something. And the Most High hurt us. He took out that jealousy and that anger on us. And that's what we read about in Deuteronomy 28. Notice that Deuteronomy 28, verse 1 through 14, is about the blessings of Israel, the good things. And Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 1 through 14, is about the good things and the blessings that we enjoy. But then we go into verse 15 of Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15 of Deuteronomy 32. Now it goes into the bad things. So he goes into the bad things now. All right? So now we have to understand that the Most High is punishing us because of our transgressions and iniquities against him. And this is written in Torah. So now we have to come back to Torah, come back to Yahweh, obey his commandments and his laws. Okay? So what we at now? What's the laws again? 47? 148.16. 148.16. Okay. So we're going to read the laws. Laws number 148. Through 68. All right, so 48 to 68, right? Let me pull it up. So law numbers 148 to 168. Law number 148, not to eat unclean fowl. Now these fowls are things like bats, crows, waterfowl, raptors, birds of prey, and birds that deliberately go out and look for dead animals to eat. Which a quail, a grouse, a pheasant, a chicken, a turkey, a peacock, a parrot, a guinea fowl. All of these are birds that we can eat. Okay? That's 148. Law number 149, to examine the marks and locusts so as to distinguish the clean from the unclean. So the clean insects are things like the katydid. If it falls into that category, you got to look it up to see it. Grasshoppers, crickets, and locusts. Those are the animals that we can eat. Those are the insects, the bugs that we can eat. To examine the marks in the fowl to distinguish the clean from the unclean. Right? Where we at now? We started at 148, right? Okay, I went back up. When you read it yesterday, did you say quail, chicken, robin, and turkey and stuff? Okay, good. Okay, to examine the marks and locusts to make sure it's a clean or unclean different insects. Not to eat a worm found in fruit. Law number 151. Not to eat things that creep upon the earth, like centipedes, roly-polies, right? Potato bugs, all right? Things like that, caterpillars. Don't eat those. We can't eat those types of bugs. Things that creep on the earth. Law number 152. Not to eat any vermin of the earth. That's the mouse, all right? Rats, guinea pigs, groundhogs, raccoons, things like that. Not to eat any vermin that creep upon the earth. Law number 153. Not to eat things that swarm in the waters. All right, so just different things that swarm in the waters that don't have fins and scales. Okay. What about algae?
I'm saying
We can eat algae. Algae's not unlawful.
I'm thinking more
People eat them. Can you see that? It's all microscopic.
jellyfish,
Yeah, they move in swarms, I guess. Shrimp kind of move apart from it.
octopus.
So just things that don't have fins and scales in the water, just don't deal with it. And things that are cooked on stoves, these unclean things that are cooked on stoves and the plates and stuff, you can't use those plates and you can't eat off of those stoves. Okay. Law number 154, not to eat of winged insects. We just went over that. So the butterflies you cannot eat. Okay, moths you can't eat. All right, whatever, and flies you can't eat. All right, flying cockroaches, they got cockroaches that fly. They just go from short distances. You can't eat those.
Flying ant.
All right, law number 155, not to eat the flesh of a beast that is torn. So if an animal comes up and mess with your sheep and bites your sheep and then your sheep dies, you can't eat that sheep. Not to eat the flesh of a beast that dies of itself. If it dies somehow in the way of natural causes, you can't eat that. Or if it died because of a sickness, definitely, you definitely can't eat that. Not to eat the flesh, to slay a cattle deer, and fowl, according to the law, if their flesh is to be eaten. All right, so what do you do with their blood and things of that nature? Not to eat a limb removed from a living beast. Law number 159. Not to slaughter an animal and its young in the same day. So you can't take the mother and the baby and kill both of them in the same day. Law number 160. Not to take the mother bird with the young. When you take the mother bird away to cook her, to have her brood, or sit over some other birds to raise them, you can't take the mother also. So the Most High is very sympathetic toward animal life. You have to be respectful of animal life. All right. Law number 161. To set the mother bird free when taking the nest. Law number 162. Not to eat the flesh of an ox that was condemned to be stoned. Law number 163. Not to boil young goat with milk of his mother. The Most High said you got a goat, don't take his flesh and boil it in his mother's milk. Law number 164. Not to eat young goat with the milk of his mother. Law number 165. Not to eat of the thigh vein which shrank. The thigh inside the white little thigh inside the chicken, and you can see it inside of the red meat also, like lamb and beef. Not to eat that. The thing is like the sciatic nerve. Okay. Law number 166. Not to eat the fat of the offering. Not to eat the fat of offering species, which means no organ fat, which is also called tallow, or we also call it cebo. En español se llama cebo. No podemos comer de cebo. In Turkish, it's called dana yali, and it's in everything over here. It's almost in all of the meats you buy at the store. You got to really read the ingredients, all right, thoroughly, right? Because last time they had a yali, it's oil, but then the oil that they put inside the animal is a yali oil, like a white oil, the tallow, the fat that they put inside the animal meat to make it cook and give it a different flavor. We can't eat meat like that, all right? Law number 168, to cover the blood of animals.
167.
Law number 167, Salaklia, not to eat blood. So we cannot eat the blood from the meat. We can't eat the blood. Law number 167, don't eat the blood of the animal. All right, so you can't eat anything with the blood. The blood has to be cooked out, and there's a doctrine going around saying that the blood was not what comes out of the animal when you cook it, that was something else. I don't know what it was. That all the red stuff wasn't blood, it was blood or something else. I don't know what, I don't pay attention to a lot of these doctrines, man. The dive between, because a lot of these doctrines end up just allowing you to do stuff that the Most High said not to do because you think you found some type of technicality that everybody else been examining and looking at wrong. They're proud. You're always finding something new. All right. So the Most High is saying what? The Most High is saying don't eat nothing with the blood. What'd you say?
No, I'm just saying for all these years.
Come. Now it may happen sometimes. Okay. But we can't eat any fat from the animal. Oh, also when it says fat, it's not talking about the fat around like the steak or that fat on the meat. It's talking about the fat that's inside the animal, that organ fat. That organ fat, okay? And when you got that organ fat, like they use it to pack meat sometimes, and they use it inside of different things you bake. People use like margarine or use like butter for different baking to helps make stuff flaky. All right. So the Most High is saying no. You can't use the the fat from those animals for anything. It's the organ fat though. It's not when you got a steak and you cooking a steak and then you got the little layer of fat on the outside. It ain't talking about that fat, nor the fat that comes from it. It's talking about the fat inside the animal. Let's say you got a liver or a kidney or something, and there's fat on that. That's the fat we can't eat. Okay? That fat we can't eat. Now specifically, we cannot eat the fat of the organ fat of the animals that are offered up. We can't eat it. And that's a whole long complication about that, which I'll go into briefly. Let's deal with the lawful animals that were offered up as sacrifices, which were what 3 species? The cow, the goat, and the sheep. Right? Cow, goat, and sheep. Of these 3 animals that were offered up as sacrifices, even if you didn't offer it up as a sacrifice, you could not use the fat from that animal for nothing. Everybody got that? You couldn't use the fat from that animal for nothing. Period. Couldn't use the fat from the animal for nothing. All right. If you slaughtered it. Now, if it died on its own, you couldn't eat it. You still couldn't eat it, but you could use it for something else. Something else like what? Something else like skin, oil, or lotion. You melt it down and put some different stuff with it. Or like candles. People use it for candle wax, candle fat. Or for soap. Okay? For soap. If it died of itself. Now, if you got another animal, the animals that weren't offered as sacrifices, like a buffalo, not the cow buffalo, but a bison buffalo. Buffalo, bison, and then like a deer, antelope, a moose. That fat from that animal, you could slaughter it, or if it died of itself, you could use that fat, but you can't eat it. You can use it again for soap, for candles, and things of that nature. Everybody got that? Okay. Now, a lot of sauces that they cook and sell a lot of times, even in Muslim sausages, is blood sauces. There's blood in it. And it's got the fat of the animal in it also. So we can't eat that. Okay? Law number 168 and the final law for today is to cook the blood of animals, to cover the blood of animals and of fowls or birds that have been killed. So you gotta cover up the blood of that animal once it's been killed. Everybody got that? Cover up the blood of the animal once it's been killed. Pour it on the earth, put dirt over top of it. So all these commandments that we do, the Most High blesses us for these things. Because what happens when you put it on the ground, you cover it with dirt, it gets broken back down into a more earth-friendly organic material. And it enriches the soil. It enriches the soil. All right? So that's part 1 for today. 39 minutes. We went over the 21 Torah commandments. We went over 2 verses in Deuteronomy 32 and Deuteronomy chapter 28. And we went over Genesis chapter 1, verse 8. All right? So, and we also read the psalm, the daily psalm, which is Psalm number 24. All right? So later we'll come back and we'll do the Proverbs and we'll do the Psalms. All right? We'll do the royal songs and we'll do the holy wisdom. Holy wisdom. All right? So may the Most High be with you all and bless you all. Hope you learn from this. Hope it's useful. If you got any questions or comments, put them down below. If you like this, like, click, subscribe, and share, and follow the link below for super discounts. I'm just joking. All right, y'all. So that's it. Nothing else. Nothing else right now. Anybody got any questions on Facebook or YouTube? Any questions, comments, encouragement? Our live studio audience, any questions or comments? If you have a question or comment, raise your hand. Okay. All right. All right. So now it's 9:40. So we're gonna shut down now, and everybody now has to go and do their Shakarit prayers. Do their Shakarit prayers, right? Which is you have to go and do your You have to go and do your morning prayers now. We got to do our morning prayers now. Okay. All right. So, may Yahweh be with you. In the name of Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach. So we'll talk to you soon. We'll come back later, maybe for Minka. And do the Psalms and Proverbs. We'll see. Okay. All right. So may the Most High Yahweh be with you all. What's your question? Hmm? No, aloe. There's aloe. I've never heard of a plant called tallow. There's aloe. Is that what you're talking about? The one that has the clear cream that you use for skin, and you drink it. It's healthy. Has a lot of vitamins. You could drink it. It cleans and helps your inside, and then got a lot of medicine in it. It's good for your hair too. Put in your hair, put it on your skin, help the skin stay moisturized and healthy. Puts a lot of vitamins and minerals in it. So that's aloe. So yes, aloe. They make drinks with it too. All right. You've had a different aloe drinks before, right? With a small clear bottle, kind of greenish, with the green top, and had like kiwi or strawberry or watermelon aloe drinks. So that's good. That's good drinks, all right. But you can put half of it. You can drink half of it and put the other half on your skin to moisturize. Or use it as, people use aloe to wash their hair and everything too. It's a nice, very good plant. Oh, burns too. Aloe is very good for burns. You get burned, you take some aloe and put aloe in the burn. And it helps, it takes the stinging away. And then it helps the skin to heal very fast also. All right. Helps the skin to heal very fast also. Okay? All right. So no questions over here and no questions over here. All right. All right, so shalom l'kam, everybody.